welcome to the program. We're just having a tete-a-tete with my guest here. Karibu. My name is Victor Law. So let's welcome my guest in studio today as we tackle people and politics on this beautiful day of 18th of February 2025, taking a look at what is happening in the country. Of course, the biggest discussion around us still, even on our local dailies, is still the issue to do with the AUC, how we lost it. And now, different pundits and political analysts, brilliant brains across the country are still giving their opinion and why we have the missteps in clinching that particular seat. This is the second time actually Kenya was going for it. But I want us to get back today, not to take a look at what's really happened in Addis, but then where are we missing that bullseye in as far as this position is concerned? Kenya has been angling for different positions continentally, so to speak, some of them on the global stage, but we've never been so quite lucky. I really want us to get into that and have a deeper conversation in as far as that is concerned. Of course, Kenya's candidate was Raila Odinga, but as it went, Kenya was not lucky this time around. Wafula Mutacho, immediate left, is a member of Ford Kenya and also chairman of Ford Kenya Trans Nzoia County. Wafula, Bushere Papa.
Bushere Mnakuka. Thank you to meet again.
Hey, we've met once again.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Somebody's wondering, how did I know Louis? Louis, we are neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Gilbert, yes. There are some ages.
But Bungomas people are a bit far from us.
Not far, really. You know, from Mumias, and you know, Mumias and Siaya people, they almost change language. They shift language. They
do business almost.
They change language.
Yeah,
today they can speak the Luo. The afternoon, I mean morning, the Luo, afternoon, the Wanga language, you see, the Luya language. They shift languages.
Could it be the reason why Baba says he's a descendant of the Wanga?
Yeah, you don't know the history, maybe. The person we could ask, maybe.
Okay, Gilbert, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you again.
After quite some time.
Yeah.
Were you in Addis?
I should have been, but I wasn't.
What happened?
Well, those who went, and there were many of us who remained to celebrate.
And you followed it locally?
Yes, we did.
Let me start with you.
Yes.
Actually, as we get into the discussion, because now we are getting into it, and of course, by the way, we are still waiting for Lena Mati. Lena Mati was a lawyer here in the country. She'll be joining us shortly. But based on our discussion today, gentlemen, the issue here, or even our local dailies, is all about the AUC. So let me start with the front page of the Standard. Taming Raila, that's what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. The gentleman there, the subject is Raila Odinga, taming Raila, and it says that even before the dust has settled on Raila's loss in the African Union race, a push for his appointment as Prime Minister is gaining momentum. Proponents want President Ruto to implement the NADCO report, creating the position of in the Constitution. Raila's decision could also reshape the political landscape ahead of 2027. NADCO report still not fully implemented, gentlemen. Was it a deliberate attempt to leave it hanging somewhere? Because now when you have this position of the Prime Minister being introduced at this particular point, then as on the front page of the Standard, is meant to tame him. So it's not a way to get it right, but to tame him. Gilbert.
Yeah.
What do you think?
If you want to sell your newspaper,
yes,
of course, you must have Raila on your front page. And the story that the headline on the Standard essentially makes, I think today the Standard will have a lot of sales. Well, to say that you're taming Raila means that he's gone haywire and therefore you have to bring him in check.
Yes.
But contextually what they are trying to say is that, well, Raila is someone who rabble rouses, particularly when he's on the opposite side. So they are looking at what then has William Ruto have to do so that Raila does not continue to do what he has to do when he's on the other side. You know, he can be unrelenting as far as, you know, pushing for certain agenda is concerned. I think that is where the headline is coming from, particularly when it's considered that AU seat, perhaps due to William Ruto's influence, he did not get it as a result of perhaps the contribution of William Ruto. So there is a sense that someone might think that maybe there will be a dissent from his camp, and therefore Ruto has to move in very fast and ensure that this gadfly must be, you know, really in your pockets, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Wafula, what do you think?
You know, this time, Stolo, this time I think Kenya did a very good campaign against our candidate in the AUC. More than that one of Amina Mohammed. This one was a crucial one, and everybody expected at least Raila to win.
Yes.
Though with me, you know, I've worked in some portions in UN, and especially in Africa. And I know this gimmick, the way they plan the election of AUC. And they have put in some obstacles whereby the Anglophone countries, it becomes so difficult for them to win this seat. And you can see the way the campaign was made, everybody could believe that Raila is going through. But with me, I noted some issues, at least on the government decisions, mostly on DRC, this one of Israel, contributed some issues. So the campaign was good. Raila was a good candidate. And I remember even people said, Wetankula wished Raila a win in AU, which was, Raila was our national candidate, was not a Raila candidate.
Were you expecting Honorable Wetangula to not wish him luck?
You know, so many people were questioning me that, of course, Raila is against. But, you know, people who are against Raila to AUC was people from and you know very well, the people from those side of the mountain, this side of the mountain, not those side of the mountain, this side of the mountain, the followers of former deputy president. And you can see they were celebrating, they were saying that let Papa come back so that he can keep some checks in the country. Yeah, but anyway, we missed it big. And I knew very well that we are going to miss because as a country we made some international decisions, which actually contributed to this. First of all, as a country, we supported the Israel attack against Palestinians. This one, of course, contributed positively to this election, because all Muslim-led countries were against that. So they could not vote for us. Even if we could do a lot of campaign, they could not. Also, the Francophone countries, also they have teamed up, and you can see with the newspaper today, that one, Star Today, they got together to vote against
how
Anglophone countries.
How Arab states actually, states in France ganged up against Raila. That's also that's what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see
how Arab states and France ganged up.
They have done
Raila.
it before. They did it. You know, Uhuru was a bit clever. He thought that maybe fronting Amina Mohammed being a Muslim, he will go through. But it didn't work. It didn't work. These people want to see this country is led by a Muslim. Is it part of us or not? Is it led by a former colony of France or not? So that is an issue. So that one contributed. Secondly, where we lost big is SADC. You know, Kenyan, we make a decision to support M23 in a way when we called some meeting, and the head of state But the president of DRC decided not to come, but he attended the meeting of SADC. You can remember that.
Yeah.
So when they reached at a point whereby the SADC bloc must make a decision, and you know SADC is actually controlled by South Africa mostly. So they decided to vote Hayway, the other side. That is where we started losing. And I sense this one because as a country, international policies are very key to any decision of the country. Yeah, very, very key.
All right. Let me ask this, because now you've also talked about how Arab states, France, ganged up against Raila. That story is on the front page of the Star newspaper. You can take a look at it in details. It actually is also fleshed there for you on page 2. France has a lot of interest in Djibouti that has one of its military bases. And of course, taking a look at that in details, I mean, it has to be there. And why France? And of course, we've been very good friends. Kenya and France have been in very good books for a very long time, but why that change is something that we also want to take a look in details. Let me welcome Lena Mati, who is also a lawyer and a friend of Good Morning Kenya. Wakili, good morning.
Good morning.
You are the late comer.
I'm sorry. I was just a few minutes late, but I'm glad.
We understand. This is Nairobi. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Victor.
I still ask why you are not in Addis.
I was in Addis. Virtually.
Okay.
Yes.
So you followed everything that happened?
Yeah, I followed what
the same question that I asked the gentleman here. What is basically your own opinion why we did not clinch this? It's, of course, everybody has their own opinion and their interpretation. What is your understanding to this far?
Thank you, Victor.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, I thought that Baba was going to win. And I thought this because Baba is not just like any other candidate. Yes, in 2017 we fielded Amina Mohamed and it didn't work. But when I looked at Baba, the stature of Baba, what Baba has done for just locally and also how he has contributed to Pan-Africanism and infrastructure across Africa, I really was convinced that Baba was going to win. But I think we've had issues. Especially, yes, just like my brother has said there have been the issue of Anglophone and Francophone, whereby we feel like there are systematic biases with regards to how the countries vote. So it may contribute to some of the countries not being able to get the seat. Yeah. But also I also feel like we may have made some blunders, especially within the last 1 year, whereby we've had our diplomacy being a bit questionable, you know. The latest being the issue of DR Congo, you know, and the third states, whereby we didn't really come out strongly, and we looked like we were locking horns with the third nations. We've also had the issue of Ukraine, you know, whereby our president just goes out there and takes sides on Ukraine and takes sides on Israel without really, you know, just considering the effects and the ramifications that come with it. And you see, with this kind of things, they always have a big impact on our policy. Policy is not, I mean diplomacy. Diplomacy is not just like usual Kenyan local politics. It always, people observe, people see. And then also we had also the factor of Gen Zs. If you really realize last year we've had issues whereby we were saying that the Raila that we knew is not the Raila that we know. How is
Gen Z related to AU?
Okay, it's not directly related, but there is an indirect connection. You see, one of the things that the Gen Zs have done is that the Gen Zs have come out strongly through social media to oppose. And, you know, we live in a global world, you know, in a global village because of social media, just like you've asked me that I was in AU, and I told you I was there virtually. And because of this, even the rest of the countries have been able to see. And one of the things that Gen Zs actually really wanted to push was to make it look like the former prime minister was a puppet of the current president, which I think in one way or another, we may have succeeded to bring that image. So even that could have caused the image of Raila to be blurred, even across other African nations.
That would be local politics. Because when you look at the AU stage in Addis, yes, the ripple effect of the Gen Z, you know, whatever happened in the country, everybody felt it across the continent, all right? But somebody would say the way Yusuf said that he doesn't want to get into Kenyan local politics.
see, Victor, the thing is that the heads of state always have, like, it is local politics, but we all have eyes. We can be able to see. And that is why, some time back, even a journalist from South Africa questioned and asked, if the former Prime Minister is not able to take any action as with regards to the abduction that are happening in the country, how can we be so sure that he's going to do something with regards to uniting other African nations? People always see. Diplomacy is actually about seeing, even more than doing the action itself.
To some extent, he had his voice when they were in Oma Bay or something?
No, but that one was just like just for the show of it. You would think he's...
Okay. This is interesting,
Victor, on this one,
yes,
I take a different stand because local politics does not affect the AUC at all. Because when you go in that direction, the immediate chair, where you come from, there is a lot of problem than in Kenya. Even now, they elected the AUC chair from his country. There is a lot of problem. You cannot compare that country with Kenya. The politics of Kenya is more advanced. Here in Kenya, you can literally talk anything to even the head of state, and you are walking free. In that country, you cannot even talk of even a minister alone. You can't. So you cannot measure the level of politics with that Djibouti, or the other side where the former president, the former chair came from. No, this one, actually, when you go to history where the votes which Amina got is equally the same with what Raila got, which means it is the same syndicate voting, the same style voting. Actually, it's not affecting the local politics. It does not. But maybe the international stand, the country will take sometimes, the international stance. Are we not looking at the intelligence or reading through the whole system of voting, Gilbert? Because correctly, it's more or less the same what Amina went through. And Victor, the same repeated itself on
Victor,
Saturday.
Yeah, I would want to enhance Wakili Mati's point a bit and also just attempt to disagree with Wafula to a small extent, but largely agree with what he's saying. I think there are various systemic issues that contributed to Raila's loss. Of course, those systemic issues are attributable to Kenya and not Raila as a candidate. I would want to look at the first systemic issue is the issue of the subdivision of regions that give you candidates for the African Union chair. If you look at the eastern region, for example, Kenya is linked with, lumped with Djibouti, lumped with Madagascar, Seychelles, all those countries. But to look at ideologically, are these people really even people in the eastern region? Do they consider themselves part of us? If you look at Chad, the subdivision, just look at the subdivisions of the candidates for the AU. I think it would have been better if the subdivisions are given according to the economic or regional blocks that these people have. We have the Maghreb, we have the ECOWAS, we have the East African Community, we have the SADC, and then I think those are the major really regions that we have. Because had President William Ruto lobbied within the eastern region first, I think that is where we missed it first. If he had lobbied to the extent that now it is East Africa, why don't we agree just to front one candidate? That would have been easier for Raila to win. But here we are basically coming from the same region, but we are people who are from the eastern region, but they identify themselves as Francophone. That's number one. Number two, I don't know whether you remember that the last time Ruto and Raila were in Egypt, the head of intelligence of the Egyptian government was actually standing next to the president of Egypt. I don't know whether that made sense to you, but I thought that that is one of the areas where we failed as a Kenyan government. You remember, everybody in the intelligence sector in our country is basically people who came into leadership as soon as Ruto became the president. I wish you knew the amount of intelligence information that the political leaders share about other colleagues when they're about to meet them. I think perhaps if our intelligence community had been much closer to the intelligence around the presidents of Africa, then they would have given our president, perhaps, and our people an opportunity to talk to the president on the thinking heads of state about the candidacy of Africa, because 49 states were voting, 49 presidents were voting for Raila and not the global African population. That indeed could have contributed. On Matty's point, where I think it contributed is that, yes, Kenya is a very vibrant country, but also our social media characterization is top-notch. It goes beyond African countries. We put ourselves out there, anything you want to find out about Kenya. And what were the algorithms saying about Kenya, saying about the president, saying about Raila? Of course, the ratings of the president as far as certain democratic fundamentals are concerned have been dropping significantly. That indeed may have influenced the conversation that the presidents have with their people around. And lastly, I think that whereas the campaigns concentrated on speaking with the presidents, you remember that presidents are just human beings. After you left, they say, "Huyu Victor ni nani? Yuko aje?" So essentially, I think that perhaps the conversation would have concentrated on who surrounds these presidents. To say that SADC had left us, I don't think they did it. SADC did leave us. Ramaphosa, who has been, I think, the controller of SADC, voted with Kenya. But the smaller countries like Seychelles, Mauritius, they voted for the Egyptian candidate. Why? Because they see themselves as Anglophones. And lastly, I think where we also missed, you know, whatever will go wrong must go wrong. But if you watched Singoe, the PS for Foreign Affairs, I think there's a reason for him to reflect, particularly on the kind of attitude. I watched how he synthesized the letter that was written by SADC, and essentially just trashing a letter that has been written by a regional economic bloc. That is, you're looking for their support. I think when he dismissed and say it is questionable, why is it coming? It is nothing, we are not concerned about it. I think when it came now to choose between Kenya and said, this person is just trashing who we are, let us show him.
So because how powerful was that letter then? Because when you put it that way, he at some point he said it was probably an afterthought or something to ask members or to introduce a member.
Yeah, if you remember what Shakespeare says, I think in one of his writings, he says, there is something to the written word that the spoken word can never achieve. Once a letter has been written, it provides documentary evidence. It tells you this is our synthesized thought. Perhaps the best way would have been then to respond to it via letter. But when someone has written a letter and then you take it to the global spores and trash it, essentially I think he missed the spirit that may have written that particular letter. Yes.
Leonard, does this really worry you? Because for sure Kenya, somebody would say that Kenya was at a very good position this time around to clinch it.
Of course, even for me, like I told you, I really hoped, because, you know, the former Prime Minister is not just any person. In fact, when I compare the former Prime Minister to the rest of the candidates, like someone like Mohamed Yusuf and Richard, I find that the former Prime Minister has a very rich legacy. This is something that we could have really captured, and also owing to the fact that the former Prime Minister came in with the political experience, so at least he could be able to talk to his peers, because elections were being held at the high level, at the executive level. So he's someone that could have really talked to his peers, and also owing to the fact that, you know, he had support across Africa. So I think that we may really never really get a candidate who really can harness both diplomacy and political sides near time. But I think if you can be able to correct our mistakes come in the future, then we can also be able to clinch the same. But also we must work towards our foreign policy. For us to come out there globally and say that you're offering our candidate, we must be able to show that Kenya as a nation is strong and there's something that we have to offer for the same. Yes.
You know, on the Standard, it says that French-speaking countries have led the AU for 19 of the past 23 years of its existence. That's a lot. 19 out of 23. So how do we change it? Because when you look at it, then it means that the number will continue going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But of course there is that rotational, you know, clause that it has to go for a block. Like this time around it was East Africa block, of which Kenya you know, was in that position this time around, but we are not lucky. Again, before you answer, look at what's on the front page of the Daily Nation, again, as we come to that discussion. Why Kenya keeps losing top jobs race? Not Raila Odinga, it's Kenya. And you've correctly put it, because of our foreign policy. So where is our foreign policy having the gaps so that we are at par with our peers across the continent?
Okay, let me first begin by answering the first one.
Right.
Whether the Anglophone issue, whether it really poses a challenge.
Yes.
You see, the first time that elections were being done for the AUC chair, it was something that was random. And then the members, the president, introduced now the rotational step, because they felt like, once we keep going this way, I think we'll just have candidates from one area. And so they introduced the rotational step. And I think also for me, you know, as someone who would really want to get into diplomacy in future, I think it's time we also begin to look at the amendments on this Anglophone and Francophone issue, you see. So I think whereby we are...
Simple majority or something?
Yes? Simple
majority to win the seat instead of 33? Because if a simple majority, I think Raila would have picked that thing on the first round.
You see, by the way, when I look, in as much as Francophone and Anglophone was an issue,
yes,
I still ask myself, did all the Anglophone nations vote for Raila? Did they all vote for Raila? Because if Raila had really maintained, he didn't even need to have the 33 of them all through. He just needed to have maintained the first position all through. And then probably the other one would have dropped and Raila would have had his own way.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whether the simple majority will be the one that will do it, but I think there still need to be some changes with regards to that.
Mutasha, what do you think?
You know, the last time where AUC had some changes was when Amina Mohammed lost. That's when they discussed that, no, this thing must go regional, because it was actually taking center stage on West African countries, mostly. Now, when they made these changes, I noted it was a loophole. And members decided to say that, to agree that let it go regional. But in regional still, like in our region, East Africa, that country of around Eritrea, Djibouti, it's not in East Africa.
It is in East Africa. It is.
In our formation of East Africa?
Yes, it is. That's why.
Yeah, but...
well, are you trying to say that it's a small country as well?
It is supposed to be in West Africa and North Africa. Supposed to be to North Africa, not East Africa.
It's part and parcel of us.
To me, what I thought they should have done, maybe they could have gone taking these three rotational, Anglophone, Francophone, and Muslim, four, and Muslim state countries and Christian state countries. Maybe it could have worked at that level. But going like this, I think even there is, the Secretary General, UN Secretary General also agreed that now we are going to have a security position. One of our Africa countries is going to be added in UN Security Council. We might also lose that one. And Kenya, we have been eyeing for that position, for the UN Security Council to be in there.
Why do you say so? Because
if this is the position, they will vote a Francophone country simply. You see, they'll vote for the same way.
Yeah.
So we still have a challenge on that, and unless they amend that voting style, I think Anglophone will keep on losing the seat.
Gilbert, just before you answer that, he's raised some good point there, but let me give you, on this delineation, it says that there is a losing streak that Kenya has always held. In 2025, we lost the AU seat. In 2024, headquarters of Loss and Damage Hub, we lost that. In 2023, Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, which was Nancy Karigithu, who was on the front line. In 2023, we lost the headquarters of African Continental Free Trade Area. And in 2022, President of the International Fund for Agricultural and Development, Rachel Omamo, who was a candidate then. And in 2020, World Trade Organization Director General, Amina Mohammed, was a candidate. And finally, in 2017, we lost African Union Commission Chairperson. Again, Amina Mohammed was on the front line. based on what is said, do you think it's now time for Kenya to take a break and say, you know what, guys, you don't need to contest?
I think we need to really, Kenya needs to reflect on its philosophy around interacting with other people. We seem to come onto the table too late, rather aggressively when we think it is our time. And yet, how often do you get annoyed when a friend ignores you and then when they are bereaved, suddenly you're in a WhatsApp group and they want you to contribute to them, and this guy has known you for years, but he has never bothered to greet you, even to ask whether you're alive or dead. What I think Kenya perhaps has to do is to rethink our philosophy that we are the hub of Africa, we are centrally placed, and do other African nations view us as this? And that takes me back to the issue of Pan-Africanism. PLO Lumumba always speaks of the founding fathers of Africa, actually the founding fathers who founded then Organization of African Unity. I think now it should be 63 years since it was formed.
Yeah.
But the question is, this Pan-Africanism that we talked about, Ghana was one of the founding fathers, a friend to Jomo Kenyatta. Same to many other African countries, many other, Milton Obote and many others, the list goes on and on. But surprisingly, Ghana did not vote for us. Surprisingly, many countries that we actually think are part of the Pan-African narrative did not fall part to us. So you wonder whether Pan-Africanism is basically a mirage in the lower region of Africa. And there is much more, or there are many African states among in the African continent. I want to argue that perhaps Kenya needs to reflect whether it's the big brother that he thinks it is. I think South Africa is much more better perceived by the major African nations, perhaps because of their colonial history, but also because of their diplomatic relations with other people. But there is also more to learn. Victor, those who are privy to the happenings in the AU, inside the hall where everybody else had been sent out, says that what happened to Raila perhaps could have contributed a lot to his loss, in the sense that the actual people were meant to vote for him. That was his time to face all the 49 of them. Of course, there were 49 because I think three African countries were barred from voting because of political issues in their country. I think Guinea is one of them. That is why there were 49. Yeah. But it is said that while they were given a chance to now make their final pitch to the guys, ladies and gentlemen, who are going to vote for them, a speech had been prepared, but someone around Raila picked the iPad from him so that he could ad-lib, he could speak right from his head. And it is said that looks like the speech, because he wasn't prepared, looks like it was another campaign rally. He didn't have an opportunity now to speak to the hearts of these people, because somebody who felt, and here comes my point, that in as much as, yes, we blame Kenya, I think there is also a significant percentage contributed by people around Raila who are very abrasive, sometimes extremely aggressive, to the point that they might not know how those actions could contribute. But Kenya indeed has to rethink, become more friendly, and begin, if we want to, by the time the AUC comes back to us, it will be, I think, another 16 years or so. We need to start planning for it now, not to wait until it is a year and we start.
That requires a serious...
And it might go to another region.
And it might go to Madagascar.
And that raises the question of whether Kenya should take a back seat.
The rotation.
Yeah, whether Kenya should take a back seat from these positions. Would it have any effect if we took a step? Lena, in 1 minute, before we take a break.
I don't think we should really take a break. I think what we should actually do is front ourselves diplomatically. Even the people that you're offering outside there, let us not play politics when diplomacy is needed. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's take a break then. And we come back. There is a point that Lena raised, that the Gen Z effect had a serious effect on Raila's losing. So I want us to come back home now. I want us to come back home. Let's come from Addis and come back home and talk about local politics as far as this is concerned. Len, are you happy now? I am. All right. We'll be right back shortly. Stay with us. All right, and welcome back. So, Lena, why are you talking about Gen Z? This is very close to your heart. You said the Gen Z effect had some ripple effect again on Kenya's performance in Addis. But then, let's bring it back home. So, it's all done. The whole AUC debate is now behind us. But the Raila Odinga we know is coming back home to a position that we all know, to Kenya that we all know, the political temperature that we all know. And right now, we are looking at a situation where everything there is going to be revolving towards 2027. We cannot avoid talking about the Gen Z effect. We cannot avoid talking about the NADCO report. We can't ignore talking about the issue to do with IBC, the selection panel, which will have their members sometimes in May or something. So where are we locally as we speak, politically?
With now the loss of Raila Amolo Odinga, I think now we are going to be witnessing some political realignments because one of the things that people used to really say, the condition or the political environment will depend on Baba winning or Baba losing. And so now that he has lost and is back into the country, we now have to consider that he is going to become an influential figure in this country. That's why I think for the last just 2-3 days after his loss right now, we can already see that Baba is like that lady who men are trying to win. Everyone, even Rigathi is, trying to pull his side. Then we have the president, the president and his friends trying to pull him to his side and all that. And because they know that if Baba today makes a decision, it will entirely affect. So if Baba, I don't really know what step Baba is going to take. But from what I've been able to see with the UDA or rather Kenya Kwanza coalition members, is that they are trying, it's like they want to contain him. So they would want to give him something to contain him, either not to make chaos, number one, or number two, they think that there's something that could be bowling on the other side, especially now that there's a decision by the court on who is the majority and minority, a discussion that is going on. So I think in the near future, actually in this week, I'm just praying that we have a lot of events whereby you can be able to hear politicians speak. I think from that we'll be able to deduce what Baba's plan is. Yes.
Wafula, she's also raised a point in as far as this is concerned. Your party leader is facing a lot of heat in the National Assembly.
Not really, but the way she has said realignment after Baba, and also the game plan of 2027 and 2032. That is the issue. When there is some so-called human rights groups took a motion to discuss against the speaker, but it was turned down because the only people who can raise that is this member of parliament who can raise a motion against the speaker because they are the one who elected the speaker. So I know after that one, there is maybe some people, some member of parliament from the other side of the mountain are planning to bring a motion. We are waiting to see. But the president is also clever. He knows very well after losing the mountain, he cannot attempt to lose the block of Luhya nation. The former DP Kajagwa was actually praying that if the Luhya nation could work together with the mountain, they can make a point in the next election. So that is the prayers. The way she said that even Rigiji is praying that Baba should come back. And actually that is what I said, that most of them were praying that Raila should lose the election so that he comes back and then join them to work against Ruto. But at the moment, the way she has said, this week we are going to have so many things happening. And like last time I told you, it's very difficult for me to go out of the country for more than 10 days. So many episodes are coming up, and I'll be asking myself, now this one is episode Nabangapi. So I rather stay around and see the episode after episodes.
Yes.
So in this week, we are going to see so many things. And from where I sit, it's not going to be easy. And the way my friend says that you cannot sell a newspaper, Standard, if Raila is not on the top.
He wasn't specific. He wasn't
said,
specific
and
to
actually
start.
it was a fact. Like the other weekend, I was in Western, Western, and the newspaper vendor was complaining that he's not selling the newspaper. Why? Because this newspaper is abusing Wetangula. So people are not buying the newspaper. It was Standard. It was Standard. People are not buying.
Okay.
So this week, we are going to see so many things. We are waiting. There is a member of parliament who is being pushed by the former deputy.
Who is that member of parliament?
I can't mention him right now. You'll see him. He'll come to the parliament. He want to table a motion to discuss the speaker. That one is coming.
All right.
But we know where it's being generated from. But all said and done, the government right now, if we keep on in this manner, the Kenya Kwanza regime might finish their 5 years without major project done.
Okay. Gilbert, what do you make of that? Just take a break on that, Wafula, because it's going to be interesting. People said Raila should go, Raila should come back. Why Raila? The country has to happen. I mean, to go on, we have a president, the government in place.
Yeah, the reason why Raila becomes that bride that every man would like to have, but she's not saying yes to any yet, is because he comes with the political capital. Raila is one, those who have been around him, Raila is like almost like Wetangula in Bungoma. The difference is that between Raila and Wetangula is that Wetangula's constituency just is in Bungoma County. I think he has how many MPs? It's 4 or 5. Yes, but Raila's
right now it has grown to Luya Nation.
Oh, now you are mechanically pushing it to the Luya Nation. Yes, but the fact of the matter is that Raila has more political capital than many of politicians in the Republic. And therefore, you know that if you have Raila in your pocket, you come with a constituency from the Luo Nyanza region, first and foremost. Then the pockets, of course, that, of course, is the reason why he continues to be relevant. A day in politics is like 1,000 years. Nobody ever knew, even President Ruto himself did not know at any one point that he would be in, let me call it, in bed with Raila Odinga. He trashed it for all the years that Uhuru and Raila were together. So politicians respond to the exigencies of the day. They respond to the political interests as, you know, time dictates.
Yeah.
What perhaps I would like to perhaps add to Wafula's voice is that I don't think Wetangula will leave the speaker's seat. Why? When law and politics are in competition, politics wins. In any case, the law that we interpret are actually made by the lawmakers in parliament. I do not think that it will be an opportunity for the president to lose his political arm by making Wetangula go, because once Wetangula goes, that's 500,000 votes in Bungoma already gone.
No, the Luya Nation, not 500.
No, let's hypothetically.
You know, once you touch a lawyer, they feel like you are fighting the whole community.
No,
it's not just Bungoma.
Bwana Wafula, that's not a fact, because if you look at the Vihiga side, they largely vote for the position of Mudavadi. If you look at Kakamega,
it is true, but you know why?
Yeah, hear me out, please. If you look at Kakamega, they essentially vote for the ODM. If you look at Trans Nzoia, because of the cosmopolitan nature, it shifts. So it has pockets of Ford Kenya, and that's why they have had MPs like Cheranganyi keeps changing. But if you look at the counties, Kakamega, Vihiga, and Bungoma, those counties basically have different political alignments. Bungoma is at the stranglehold of Wetangula. But of course, if wishes were horses, then it's going to be a better ride for Wetangula.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, yeah. So I think Wetangula continues to be on the speaker. Our brothers from from Nyanza continue to enjoy the trapping of power. As you can see, it makes Kina Kaluma, everybody very excited, because that's really what excites them. So they will continue to support Ruto, especially because they would want to punish Gachagua for this kind of behavior. I used to talk and refer to Raila with this. Yeah. I don't think Luos will forgive him for, in the Luo culture, when you're speaking to a man and you put your hand like this, you put your fingers like this, it means that is the height of disdain for that particular. Perhaps his communication handlers should teach him how to gesture so that it does not spoil for you. That used to be his character when things were good.
Well, interesting. But Lena, what do you really think is going to happen in the country? Let's not stretch it too far. Within 1 month, what's going to happen?
Wow. Hey.
In just a month?
I think it's really going to be quite a lot, especially now, just like I had said, with Raila coming back home, what he would really want. You saw, I think the other time when Junet Mohammed was doing, was doing a presser, he said, it's going to be messy, it's going to be even smelly.
And with casualties.
Yes, and with casualties. So we are really expecting that there will be a lot, especially that is happening in Parliament. I'm also looking forward to see how this issue of Wetangula is going to be handled, the Speaker. And also now, we are also going to see whether the young people, what is the next step for the young people? Are they going to keep on calling the government? Will they probably retreat back, or what is really going to happen? But all in all, Victor, I think we are ready for the Afro cinema or polycinema, if I can call it. Yeah. Yeah.
The youth right now, I think they will not raise any voices. They are waiting for 2027 to act. They spoke last demonstrations, but the government did not take them seriously, and they did not understand what they wanted. They understood the youth a different way. They didn't, even I think up to now. The issue of Gen Zs were actually accountability of our national resources. Accountability. When you see just yesterday, member of parliament, now is a minister with a lot of cash flashing around. These Gen Zs feel like they are robbing from us. So if we cannot work out on how to control this, actually on expenditure, government expenditure, Gen Z are bitter, and they will vote differently if we cannot take them right now, take this issue seriously right now. The government, if they cannot take this matter very seriously, Gen Z will make a voice in 2027. And we are here together, Victor, you'll see this. Yeah. Gen Z are going to speak loud and clear, 2027, if the government, right now, I think if I could be advisor, like the way Nania asked President to be his personal advisor, Salasia, I could advise him that he stops moving around selling government projects, plans. Let him concentrate on government, at least moving the country forward. That is, let other people speak about the government policies and development and everything. Let him keep quiet. Right now, even if he said, we are doing this, people will say, wongo, when it is actually doing it. Like that road of Isiolo, Isiolo, Mogadishu, Isiolo, around where there. I went there, I'm a consultant there, in that road. The road, Chinese are making it. But when he was in Isiolo speaking on that road, people in Isiolo said, Uongo, and it is true, the road is being constructed. So the best thing, the advisor should I tell him to keep off. I remember there is a time when Michuki, during Kibaki's time, I happened to accompany this guy, this guy who was from Kakai, who splitted money in helicopters.
Livondo?
Livondo. Yes, Livondo. I went to his office. So Michuk told Livondo, you know what? If I go out and make any statement, people will not believe on me. People will see that I'm the government sent. I'm defending the government. So please, if you want any resources, just come take and go make this statement clear to people, because we are doing it. Now, it should be applied to this government. Right now, if people around the president go out to make any information that they are making this, they are building this, people will not take them seriously. So they should take a different turn, even the president himself.
The good book reminds us that we should always remind ourselves, remind them.
No. Right now, if you know, Gen Z are different.
Keep on reminding them.
Yeah, Gen Z are thinking differently.
Okay.
Can I respond to what he has said just briefly?
Go ahead.
You know, when you don't know that it's going to rain when it begins to rain. You know that it's going to rain when you begin to see the clouds. Actually, what we saw last year were just merely clouds. And these were clouds where the young people were calling for accountability. Now, we made a point, yes, that time, but what we raised, has it been implemented? And you see, we don't really have to get to 2027 for the Gen Z to wake up again and say that, you know, we are going to disrupt the government. No, it just needs a trigger. And from the look of things, I think we're already being triggered when they say that they are going to create extra positions for the former Prime Minister. And we are sure that this position will not just come as one position, there may be introduction of more positions. So if the country chooses to go that direction, definitely we are going to have a problem. We don't really need to get to 2027 for Gen Z to raise their issues.
That's what's on the front page of the Standard. So you are not for that. Yes, Wafula, just on the front page, kindly. Standard, just give it to her kindly. When you look at that position, the NADCO report is still, you know, not fully implemented. So what I'm trying to say is that the NADCO report should be left to sit where it is.
I don't think, you know, we really had conversations on NADCO, but we didn't really have exclusive conversations as a country, especially because there were the protests by the young people. And so some of the things that were put in the NADCO report, for me, I don't think they are the reflection of the whole country. They are just the reflection of the political elites.
What would you wish for?
I would wish for something that is really working towards the development of the country, economic development, inclusivity of the young people, but not looking for positions for the politicians. Yes.
Gilbert?
I think it's good for... The Gen Z is a mirage. The Gen Z narrative is a mirage in the sense that, you know, when you're young, in your teens and early 20s, you think your fathers are very stupid, until you get to your 30s and you start listening to the kind of music they are listening to. You don't know the effect that they have had on you. The way Gen Z has come, Gen Z is a reactionary group that is not building a political muscle that they are going to use in 2027. If the Gen Z we are speaking about is still focusing on the President Ruto, then they are they will vote for the candidate who will be campaigning against President Ruto. If that candidate is Gachagua, we wonder whether we will vote for Gachagua, because politics does not happen overnight. But I want to expand it a little bit. If you look at the Gen Z in Wamunyoro, the Gen Z in Wamunyoro, who likely is his political candidate? You can answer that question. If you look at the Gen Z in Bungoma, who is likely their political candidate? Wafula can answer that. If you look at the Gen Z in Nyanza, who is likely their political candidate? But within, of course, Nairobi as a cosmopolitan, there are so many people who perhaps may not subscribe to this. What are their political numbers? I know that the candidates that the Gen Z will give their political muscle behind will have a better candidate by the simple fact that the younger population are usually they're bigger, greater than the older population. But politics is, you decide when it is very late, because the candidate will be presented to you. We are told there are 3 candidates. Who are you going to vote for? So unless the Gen Z are working towards voting for a particular candidate, and we only have 2 years to election, there will be Afro cinema, she says, but it is not going to be as smooth.
I want to ask a question to all of you. What now? Because there is one subject here that we are talking about, Raila Odinga. And the other person is the Gen Z. So what if Raila says that he's going to kurudisha mkono, as many people would purport that he's going to kurudisha mkono to work with the government till the end? Wafula, what did you make of that?
You know, those are prayers for the government of the day. Those are prayers, good prayers for the government of the day. because if they'll contain Raila, they'll do manner of things they want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but out there, the song is differently, quite different.
Oh, tell us, what's the song?
Because the way she said, Genesis, you know, at a point they said, Baba, you've done a lot, go and relax, leave it to us. Let us deal with it. They'll tell Baba, please relax, it's our turn. It will come within different versions. So keeping Raila right now, I think that is the prayer of the government of the day, so that they can work, feel comfortable in their operation until 2027.
What are you thinking?
I think, like, right now, the government should just embark on national development, reduce debt, and also create, you know, good expenditure.
What of Honorable Raila Odinga? What should he do?
Right now, you know, I remember one time when Eugene Wamalwa said that Raila is a person that you can hate him partially, love him partially, not wholesomely. That's Raila. And it is true, because Raila, the government can absorb Raila right now, just like that time of Tinga and the Jogo. Tinga, you know, Raila said, you know, Jogo imemesa Tinga. Now, unfortunately, they forgot to put off the engine.
Yeah.
So the Tinga was still riding inside the Jogo. So right now, finally, the Jogo has tamed the Tinga, and we are out again.
Okay.
So in this one, even if the government want to accommodate Raila, should be at least in, you know, the goodness, Ruto knows Raila very well, and Raila knows Ruto. Let us see this episode.
Okay. You know, you've not answered my question. I see the way you've scattered around. You've not answered and I know, you've not answered my question.
But I'm itching to say something.
Go ahead. He's not answered my question. I know why.
Yeah. They say the medium is the message. And you see the dilemma of Ruto, absolute Ruto supporters. He's the chairman of Ford Kenya, and Ford Kenya is basically a party within Ruto's camp. But you see how he speaks from both sides of the mouth. Ruto is doing this, and at the same time, you know, Wetangula supports Ruto 100%. And that is a challenge that Ruto continues to experience, because he's that Mbugua. You remember the advert of Mbugua? Yeah. Anasukuma gari kwa kwenye mteremko, anauza biashara, anafanya kila kitu. I wish Ruto could take a step back and perhaps be the president. I think presidency is very easy. You just sit and ask people, say one word, and you go and sleep, and everybody. But he's a person who is doing everything for himself, making communications very hard for him to, you know, get into people's minds, so that whatever he says, like the road from that Modogashi that Gachagua has made joke of. It was done, but it looks like the man comes to show you how he's able to cram things, and people are saying, we are not in a cramming stuff, just tell us it has been done. So sometimes, you know, when people have attributed you to lying so much, even when you say the truth, they think you're lying. So the medium is a crucial point.
Lena, you are having the last word.
Yes. For me, I think really primarily Raila has two choices, which is number one, to really go back and meditate whether, you know, he should come back to the Raila that we used to know, or number two, to support the current government. And if he chooses number one choice, that means that he'll have to like work on his party. He may probably want to probably vie in 2027 or endorse someone from his party to vie. And I think from that, we can also induce the fact that he may also want to work with like-minded individuals, people probably like the Kalonzo Musyoka, or even other people within the field who have that political capacity. Now, if he takes the second chance, which is to support the government, I'm really asking myself, then what happens after 2027? Does ODF just die? What really happens? Is this going to be a support that is now, you know, a long-time support, or what really will be the bargaining point of it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Before you go, there is this issue and I need to pick your legal minds in this. The issue of the position in the National Assembly. Of course, there are issues there. What do you make of this, Gilbert? Because now the way Jeanette put it, it's going to be, you know, noisy, messy, and with casualties. But it seems that that noise is slowly coming down.
Yeah, because Baba was still in Addis Ababa.
Right.
When Baba comes back, he will bring his boys to order. Whatever Baba will tell his boys is what will carry the day. The messy, whatever, Jeanette has the capacity to over-dramatize as a bargainer or to rabble-rouse. But he's an absolute Baba supporter. Baba is not leaving Ruto anytime soon, and it will continue. Status quo is going to exist, in Parliament.
Does it have any effect based on what the court pronounced and now the declaration by the Speaker?
You know the way courts work, until someone goes there, the courts will not come. We made this pronouncement, you are not executing, so we want to punish you. No, they will just watch. If nobody goes to court, and the person who needs to repeal this, to appeal this judgment is Parliament itself. But the clerk has essentially given a position around Wetangula. He has said that it lies with the MP. One must raise a motion against the Speaker. I will tell you for a fact that that motion will not see the light of day, because you cannot preside over your funeral. Somebody else has to do it.
Yeah.
So status quo is going to continue. The Gachagua wing is hoping that the ODM is going to help them stir this water that has been stirred. But the ODM side have a history of Gachagua, how he was, and they are quite careful not to be with him, because they will feel that this guy conveniently wants us, because when we needed him, he wasn't with us. So status quo, but the political tempo is going to continue going up, particularly on that side of the mountain.
Lena,
Yes.
your version of that? And even now that the position of the PSS and the reorganization, the government, a lot is still in store, actually. Yeah.
I really want to disagree with my brother here, Gilbert. For me, I really think, just like I've said, it will depend with what the position that Baba is going to take. And you know, sometimes that position doesn't really have to be clear in the first. But from the people that surround him, you can clearly see that this, because you can see Baba really speak just gently about President Ruto, but someone like the SG, Sifuna, and these other people are out there pushing for the majority, for ODM to be majority. And you see right now, I think there would be that want for ODM to really want to reclaim its dominant space.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. So who is who now? Baba or SG?
Well, you see, that's where the confusion comes in politics.
No, when SG speaks, it's Baba speaking.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. I like it. Thank you for supporting me.
All right.
Yeah.
It's Baba speaking. But
Yeah.
you know,
So finally you agree with the... Okay. Lena, continue.
Okay, yeah. And for me, I think in one way, the impeachment motion that is may be brought into the Parliament. And now that one will really depend on the members. I cannot really say which direction they are going to take, because also you see Wetangula has a bit of support from Kenya Kwanza. But I feel like we may be required to compromise on some of the things, because there has been a discussion with Wetangula being told, fold your parties that you can join. So this could also be a bargaining point within the political parties to get him to join, to fold his party and join, or to resign and leave.
Wafula is not happy about that.
I know.
Wafula, you're not happy about that.
of course, we are not going to fold up the party. That is, even Kajagwa said, I didn't know. If I knew, I could have gone with my own party. Yeah. So we have learned a lesson. We are not going to fold a party. Fort Kenya is going to remain. And if we fold a party
Perhaps it was a double standard, as it was said by the court, because you cannot have two positions where they...
it's not, this is a lawyer, he's a lawyer, he can tell you, it's very clear that the Speaker is a member of Parliament. The Speaker is a member of Parliament. And also, in the same law, it says that a member of Parliament can come from a political party or an independent candidate. So you can see, if he's a member of Parliament, then he's not obliged to be, he's obliged to be from a political party, he can hold it. There is nowhere that denies him to be in a political party. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's wrap it up that. But let me remind you that the country is also mourning. We lost Member of Parliament, that is Moses Malulu Injendi. Yesterday evening at around 5:15, as per the communication that came from the Speaker of the National Assembly, Malulu Injendi was actually serving his third term as a Member of Parliament of that constituency, and he was also the Vice Chair of the Departmental Committee on Education and Research. Lena, you'd want to go that. And by the way, we also lost Baringo Senator William, who also succumbed on Saturday. So both National Assembly and the Senate lost members. Lena.
I think I just want to send my condolences to probably the family and the constituents that have lost their leader. Yes.
Great. Wakili?
Yeah, I would also like to send my condolences to the people of Baringo Central. People have said that Gideon Moi has gotten an opportunity to finally come back to a position he lost. Malulu Injendi of Malava, we were there 2 weeks ago. We also send our condolences. But also I would like to extend the condolences to the education fraternity. The chair of KEPSHA, Johnston Zioka, passed 2 days ago in a Christie Road accident on Mombasa Road. I would like to send my condolences to the KEPSHA fraternity. I know they work very closely with Nat, and even Kewota, the CEO, Benta Opande. I know that they were very close. I would like to share my grief and send my condolences to those two group of people.
He was a member of Jubilee Party. Perhaps you worked together closely?
Who?
With the late Malulu.
Malulu, yeah, I know Malulu very well. I have been at his home. He's a good man. He's a man who makes a decision wisely, and he's a man who can advise somebody. So I know him very well. I just want to send my condolence to the family of Malulu Injendi, and also Kepto and KEPSHA chair who got an accident. We will be in prayers with them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Asante sana. All right, let's wrap it up there. So let's wait for more information that will be coming, and of course it has to be communicated by the National Assembly or the family as we expect. Lena Mati, who is a lawyer and a political analyst, thank you so much for joining us. Wakili Gilbert Awino, who is also strategic communications expert, is also a lawyer. Asante sana for coming to the show today. And Mzee wa Kazi, Mzee wa Nyumba today, who is Wafula, who is also for the Kenya chairman Trans Nzoia County.
Talking badly here. Chepkat, I'm not Chepkat.
We'll do this again next time.
I'm just Wafula.
Let's take a break. GMK continues by the other side of radio. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.